I live in Germany. You may live in America, maybe in Australia, maybe at the South Pole or whatever. So to make everyone happy, I played every single Wii release game, regardless of where it released. At first I only wanted to do the European games, but then I noticed Excitebike wasn't a launch game here, so I had to include America too, and Japan, because otherwise it would have been unfair. There is a lot to get through, so let's start. Look at this menu. Looks like there's no motion controls used for it, right? 1. You just don't have a cursor for whatever reason. It's really not fun to tilt the remote down or up for a menu, especially when you even get a cursor later instead of the game. Why not also have it in the menus? Why do I have to tilt instead of aim? My Counter-Strike mates already do that enough instead. I never watched the movie, but if someone told me they got golf cows in there, maybe I would have. Because you can play as one. I expected the game to be a linear, little jump and one kind of game like the Over the Hedge game, but instead you have a hub and can pick your mission, like baking an apple pie together with the pig, who is just called Pig, because he's a pig. My favorite mission I got to play was when you unlock the sunglasses that allow you to squirt milk at other animals when you put them on, since they work as a disguise so you can hide that you're a golf cow just shooting their milk at people. Nobody will ever know it's you. The worst thing is, this was actually fun. One day I wanna keep playing this game. Will I regret it? Maybe, maybe not. Only future me will be able to know it. I can't even have milk anymore since I became lactose intolerant. I have no idea about American football, but I love normal football. Sorry, Americans. I have no idea what team is good or bad, so I picked the Panthers because I love that animal, and looking at their stats, it makes me think they are some kind of OP team. I only know Tom Brady, but I don't even know what teams he played for throughout his history. Then my Wii crashed for picking them. I swear, this is not just a still image, but me letting my Wii try to load it for 3 minutes before I gave up. Not like I would have been able to say much more about it anyway, so it's better for me and you that it crashed. This was a launch title in Japan, but I'm playing the European version for obvious reasons. Even though it's the kind of game you could play without any text at all, since all you need to know is how to hold the Wiimote. It's perhaps my favorite WarioWare game. You do minigames, but faster and barely get any time to understand what you have to do before, and then slap your own forehead when you mess up and realize how much of a dummy you are for failing it. I wonder if you would instantly get fired if you accidentally close in people at the store you work at. I swear every time I play this minigame again, I do it wrong. Maybe I have a desire to put people into their place. I don't know. I'm a trustworthy member of society. I think. The only thing I never quite liked is how they take you out of the game for a tiny bit whenever a new pose gets introduced. Sure, you do get a funny message with it that calls you a clown, but I just want to play and not get interrupted. You only have to see them on a new save file and then never again, but still. I want to pull out someone's nose hair instead of having to read or wait for the message to disappear. Even though you should never do that, you can actually die from doing it, even if people on Reddit say it doesn't. But what do they know? Don't trust people on there. Just trim your noses instead of putting them out. Thank me later. There are two types of moms out there. One type that mostly watches doctor shows like Grey's Anatomy, or the type of mom that watches shows like CSI. So if you got the first type of mom, you may want to become a doctor to make her proud, but felt too stupid to become one, then this game is for you. I never felt this way because mine mostly watched CSI, but I would have never been able to become a cop in my state anyway since I am too short to become one. I'm even currently working on a video about all the Trauma Center games on the Wii, so if you don't want to miss that, maybe you could subscribe if you want to. At first you might feel the game is kinda grounded in reality before the game just goes off the rails anime style. I mean, what else would you expect from the people behind Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, and also recently Metaphor? You pull glass out of people and then the next second you suddenly shoot aliens inside of someone's body to defeat mega cancer because there's a deaf doctor who wants to put people into their graves instead of saving them, because living is pain. So instead of making life better, you just make it worse. It's just really fun. You will feel like a real doctor even if you have no idea if this is how it works in real life. Probably like half and half. And your assistant is a total cutie, so she makes you work even harder since you want to impress her. She can get a bit mean though, but I like that because I got low self-esteem, so it would be easy for anyone to stomp on my feelings and me just accepting it. Just how the game can stomp on you, because at some point it can get quite hard. even on the normal difficulty. There are so many things you have to remember eventually, but Angie does help you out a lot luckily, even when the timer ticks down and the patient is on the verge of dying, so you get totally overwhelmed while trying to fix it. So if you don't enjoy playing stressful games, then well, you should rather not play this. I thought I would never have to see this game again after I streamed it once, but sadly it's my fate and destiny that I had to see it again like this. In Japan it's called Necronesia, and when I googled that game I saw, oh no, it's this. This ad for the game is really cool though, but it's one of the only good things I can say about it. You basically go to an island with your best friend, who is more like your local school bully, and a girl you're in love with who really loves bugs. Look at her just picking up this thing and not being phased in the slightest about it. I don't mind insects in real life except centipedes, but even I wouldn't even dare to get close to this thing. The main character is really bad with insects, but for the love of his life he came here anyways. You know what they say. Doesn't matter though, since your friend tries to cuck you in the first 5 minutes of the game, so the girl needs some alone time to think about if she loves him back or not and disappears. Even though why would she need to think about it? She doesn't love him, I hope. I don't want to be cooked again. And then the friend follows her, what after, no, everyone is gone except for you and it's your mission to find them. It's a trashy horror game that knows it's a trashy horror game, but it still doesn't really make it fun except if you're looking for a game that you can play while laughing with others about it. Look at these killer piranhas. Shouldn't they jump at me from the water and not from the front? Why are they just laying on the floor like that? Do they even have fun doing that? At least to show you some real giant insects, I played it till the praise mantises again. Damn spooky. Totally. Also, let me warn you. To beat the game, you basically have to play it twice. You get to a point that makes you think it's the ending, but then you get teleported back in time or something like that. If I remember right, I have to go through the same places, but a bit changed. Before I got too far into that route, I quit though. A Japanese exclusive one, despite Gundam being fairly well known in the Western world. Everyone here knows it, right? Maybe they should have tried bringing this one over. I have to confess one thing though, I have never watched a single Gundam show, not even the one with the hot mom. Despite being super duper into Xenogears, Xenosaga and Xenoblade, I'm not the biggest mecha fan, so this is also the first Gundam game I've ever played, and I was surprised at how fun it actually was. You play as Gundam. I didn't know the Gundam everyone knows is just called the Gundam, even when there's like 500 versions of this one here. And have to swing a morning star at your enemies. That's it. Simple yet so fun. Maybe this is how Project Hammer would have felt like too if it ever came out. The only thing that sucked is how my hand got quickly tired because to throw it you gotta swing the Wiimote. It's a total waggle game. Who needs complex controls when you can pretend you're swinging a Morningstar round? I mean, even Twilight Princess, another launch title, had the same idea with the ball and chain. I could also see the game becoming fairly boring if you have to play it for too long. Maybe it changes, but I couldn't find any long play of this or someone playing it for longer than 20 minutes, so I can't confirm that. For just a bit though, I enjoyed it. You can also find parts to upgrade the Gundam with, but here the language barrier just tells me to heck off. Wii Sports is Wii Sports, the game everyone has played in their life. Even your mom who never played the game before has played it, probably. And that was the fun of it. Everyone could play it since it was so easy to understand, and that's why Reggie told Iwata and Miyamoto to include it with the console itself to show off what made the Wii so special. One of those rare Reggie moments where he actually did something good. I'm totally not gonna be lazy and reuse my footage for my look at every Wii game video for Wii Sports and Wii Play. Nope, it's a bunch of sports and well, that's all you get because you know the rest. Everyone knows this. A bunch of minigames that you got for free when you bought a new Wiimote. Can't really complain about that, right? Nowadays you buy a new controller for 60 bucks or 50 bucks and you don't get a game with it. Here you got a free game in a way. The games are simple just like Wii Sports and mostly only fun for a few minutes if you play them by yourself, which you have to do because even in multiplayer it's not that great, except for tanks, the star of the show, alone or together. I never beat it, but one day I will, hopefully. You're a little tank and have to shoot other tanks with your bullet that bounces off the walls. It may look simple, but the difficulty goes up and up till I just mentally broke, and you know, it also will mentally break you if you try to get through every stage. You could have made this the only game on Wii Play and it would have been worth it. They should make a standalone version of this game one day. Why isn't there one yet? I'm just gonna use the HD trailer for this because we all know the beginning of this game really well and I played through the game over countless times. So I don't think I need to smash it into my Wii and capture some quick footage of it. My favorite Zelda game to this day and probably will stay like that forever. I could just really talk about it the whole day, but I will keep it short. Best dungeons in the franchise, best companion with Midna, a story that's nothing new but it just fits the game well and so on. The only difference to the GameCube version is basically that the whole world got mirrored since Link is right-handed now, because most people are like that in the real world and you gotta swing the sword yourself. Never really bothered me since I never thought about Link being left-handed before, but it makes you feel a bit bad for the left-handed people out there. You finally have a video game character that is like you and then boom, they turn him right-handed to leave you in the dust. Because you can't just change your hands like that, I think. Maybe it's possible, but why would you do that? Don't really have to say much more about it. One day I will make a whole video about how much I love it. So I don't want to be a quick shot and reveal everything about it already in such a short way. I mean, I could talk about how I used a Zelda forum back in the day and people posted about how much they want to do certain things to Midna. And I thought, well, to each their own. Before I beat the game and saw her true form and was like, oh, I get it now. Nowadays I know they probably didn't mean her true form. I was so innocent and pure back then. You know, sometimes I kinda miss the old Call of Duty where you were just a normal soldier in the middle of others, not being the chosen one who feels like being the super soldier and being picked to do the craziest missions ever. Something that started with Modern Warfare, which is actually my favorite Call of Duty, but after that they started going maybe a bit too Michael Bay style for me. It's basically the PlayStation 2 or original Xbox version of the game but with motion controls. Who could have guessed? Look at this beautiful performance though. Also, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if my eyesight is going bad since I'm getting old, but it just felt the enemies' uniforms were too similar to the backgrounds, and they look the same to your guys. So while friendly fire doesn't exist, sometimes you will just shoot at your own guys. Sorry about that, my friends. I'm happy they removed the whole thing here in Germany, where you have to spend a year working at some hospital or in the military. I wouldn't have been a good fit for it either, so I'm happy they got rid of it. Thank you, yay! Look at this sick effect though when using the heavy machine gun, Jesus Christ. All in all, not a bad pick at launch if you wanted to play a first person shooter since there was only Red Steel aside from this one, which I'm going to talk about next. At first I also thought one of the worst shooters ever was out on release, but Far Cry Vengeance came out a few weeks later, so thanks for that. Now I don't have to cover it. You know, I don't think the game is supposed to suddenly go all black like this, or blue. It sometimes would also make a super loud static sound like an old TV to try to make my ears bleed, so well, I think soon my Wii is gonna give up, but I hope it won't, I still need you. I got it for Christmas in 2006, so this year it will turn 18 years old. Where did the time go? Can't even blame it for being also loud as hell and giving me some troubles here and there. Luckily, I also played this one before on stream once to the point where the game actually opens up and lets you choose your next level. Because at first this is a really linear shooter, just going from level to level before you start working for some guy where you are then allowed to pick what mission you want to tackle first. It's not the worst shooter, but there's just nothing really special about it playing it nowadays. I could see the appeal playing this at launch as your first shooter on the Wii if you didn't want to get Call of Duty, being able to aim with the Wiimote in a full actual game and all that. Now you should play Red Steel 2 instead, which is an actual good game. Wanted to make a video about it once, but I scrapped it. Maybe it will come back one day. One of my favorite games of all time, and I am not kidding. I just love marble video games for whatever reason, even if I never really played with real marbles in real life. You tilt the board with the Wiimote and have to collect all the crystals to open up the goal and get in there, choosing between cute marbles like being a cat or a penguin that make cat or penguin noises. Meow. I hate myself for I should not include this. Sometimes I wish the marble minigame in Twilight Princess would be mandatory to beat the game. Beat every single stage or else you won't get the Master Sword, something like that. All while Midna tells you how much you suck at it whenever you lose a ball. Sadly, you can totally ignore it in that game. It would have shown people how much fun these games can be instead of maybe trying it once or twice and then giving up on it. Kororinpa 2 is also an amazing game and you can even use the balance board on it, which I did for my video on games that use the balance board without being a fitness game. It works really well. I'm just a bit sad that these games pretty much flopped and to this day they're still the ultimate marble games. Nothing even comes close. This game came only out in two countries, Japan and Spain. Yep, Spain is the only country that was like, hey, we are gonna localize this one for ourselves. Must be a big thing over there, like how Dragon Ball is huge in Mexico. I never quite liked the show too much as a kid, felt a bit too dumb. And I was a dumb kid, so that says a lot. Even though I would call you dumb for enjoying it, it's a minigame collection where I think the story is about a radio show doing some kind of contest and you have to collect tickets that you get by winning the minigames. Walking around town and having random things happen to you that I don't understand since I do not speak Spanish. Hola. For me there's a bit too much text though. I just want to play the minigames. I would probably not mind it if I could understand it, since that's why you buy these games. You want to see your favorite anime characters interact more. And text helps with that, but I can't read it. Also, was this dog always this caked up? No dog should have a butt like that. Damn. Butts were a big thing in ShinChan after all though, since he always did the Poo Boogie Woogie. That's how we Germans named it. Poo Boogie Woogie. I can't even say it without my brain just going, I can't pronounce it. Whenever he wiggles his naked butt at people and got into trouble for it. Most of the minigames I played were fairly simple, just spray water onto flowers through the Squid game, where for some reason the dog always saw me move, even if I didn't move. Like, how am I getting punished for this? Where did I move? I didn't even move my remote at all. Probably a fun game for fans who have friends who are also fans. Playing a minigame collection by yourself just feels sad. Hear me out. This was actually a fun game back in the day. Even still can be nowadays if I had a friend around to play it with. Obviously it wasn't a real Rayman game, and eventually Rabbit just took over and they didn't even include Rayman in their title anymore, but I think the games became a bit hated because of how they overshadowed the actual Rayman games. It's one of those situations like with Metroid, where Federation Force is an okay game, but not what fans wanted, so it got all the hate it could get, and they put the blame for the franchise being dead on it. You can dance, you can throw cows, or one of my favorite minigames is drawing food or not real food for the rabbits to eat. They're mostly simple but fun, because that's how minigame collections are. They have to be like this, so everyone can play them, even your granny. After 4 minigames, you get thrown back into your cell to change your outfit or get enough toilet cleaner things that you can escape from here with. Still one of the best minigame collections on the whole console. People don't even hate the minions anymore nowadays, so maybe we have to stop with the hate for the rabbits too. Even if Mario already helped with that a bit. I once played this before a bit and still had my save, and it made me remember why I quit. Look at this. You play as Patrick in the stage, and every 3 steps there's a telephone telling you what to do, and then another cutscene where you slowly have to watch the enemies appear, then right after you walk 3 more steps and it's another telephone cutscene. Let me please just play. How is that so hard? It doesn't even have any of that Spongebob humor in it. The guy in the telephone booth just tells you how to play the game, but the game tells you what after what to press anyway, so it's useless. You shouldn't make so many cutscenes and interrupt the flow of the gameplay. Never ever interrupt the play like this. Once is fine, but this often, you may think I'm patient, or I should be patient as an adult, but no, everyone would hate this. Kids, adults, grandpas. It also feels so lifeless. The only cool thing is this animation in the first stage where SpongeBob turns crazy. I was crazy once. For the lamest race ever. It is so slow and boring that I would fall asleep at the wheel if real cars would be like this. I don't even have a driver's license, so luckily I can't do that even if I wanted to. And I wouldn't want to. Don't drive when you're sleepy. Take a nappy on the back seat. Just stick with Battle for Bikini Bottom. Happy Feet, one more combo, Dead End Falco. You know how it goes. I have never seen a movie, so I have one question. Why are the penguins Mexican? At first I thought it's all just Dance Dance Revolution dances and you have to swing your Mii mode into the right direction, but left did not work. Swinging up, down and to the right worked, but the game did not want to accept me swinging to the left. You can also just play it by pressing the D-pad, so why even bother with the waggling? I mean, it's more fun, but when my left thing doesn't work, why should I not use the D-pad? Sometimes I think motion controls don't work, but I want to put the blame on myself for not doing it right. But if right works, I know how to swing right. Why wouldn't I know how to swing left? Why? I'm not stupid. I swing left doesn't work. Why not? Another thing I hate about some Wii games is that they do not let me pick from the menu with the Wiimote. Why do I have to press normal buttons instead of pointing at my screen? Let me be lazy. Even if some people would say it's more work to point, but I disagree respectfully. After dancing you get to swim, and if you survive it by not falling asleep again, you can belly flop in waves while your girlfriend keeps telling you that you're the best doing it. Feels like everyone treats you as some kind of god penguin in this game. Everyone is like, wow, he was born, he's gonna be the greatest penguin of all time, even though you're a normal penguin. I don't know what's so special about him because I haven't watched the movie and I haven't played through the whole game, but it's a penguin. After that, they make you go through the same course again, but this time you have to collect music notes. So I said, yep, I had enough of that in school during music class, and I never want to go through that hell again. The only time I ever liked YouTube's copyright system was when a dancing video of my class got taken down because of the music used in it, so nobody could ever see me dance, even if I was barely visible hiding in the back. Sometimes it helps being short. The game didn't work so well, that's always fun. Basically, it's the most fun you could have with a racing game on the Wii. Simple controls where the waggling does not make you hate it, and it's fast as hell. What more could you ask for? You could even put your own music into the game if you put it onto an SD card and then let it play. Kinda useless nowadays and even back then, but hey, I like it when games have fairly useless gimmicks. Why go through all the trouble when you have a cool CD player to play music on? There was a sequel with Excitebots that only America got, and also Japan, 2 whole years later. Not as Europeans though, and it always made me sad because it's even better. For some reason they modeled all the trucks after animals this time, which I was never a big fan of, but it's unique, so I will let it pass. Nobody needs either of these games though when you got the next one. Who needs Excitebot or bots when you got this game? Looks better, plays better. Sorry for lying. This is like making the featherweight champion box against the heavyweight champion. They would have no chance at winning, I think. I don't know a lot about boxing, but you know what I mean. It's not total trash because it works at least, but I feel bad for people who somehow picked this game instead at launch if they were in the mood for some arcade racing. You can turn your truck into a shark down, that's cool, and it looks as if you're always on your front tires, for whatever reason. Maybe I'm blind, but it does look like that, right? One thing that's totally useless are the barrels on the tracks, as long as you're in first or no one else is around. You kick them and if it hits someone else, it will stay behind them for a bit before it goes kaboom. But I was basically always first, so I wasn't able to use them at all. Imagine if in Mario Kart you only got coins in first place, you have nothing to defend with or attack with. They at least always give you some green shells sometimes you can have fun with. But here you are not having fun in first place because there's nothing for you to do except race. Why not just give you items that you can also use as first place? Like, let me put barrels backwards, something like that. Why can I only kick them forwards? Sometimes in life you have to go backwards to go forwards. A game that is trying to make you feel as if you're at a classic Japanese festival. If you ever watched a single romance anime, you have seen that kind of festival. You can fish for fish, try to shoot down things to win prizes and all that. Something that exists at every fair here in Germany too, even if I never did the ones where they let you shoot things. I always pick the ones where you have to throw a softball at cans and make them fall over. I love the presentation of the game, but I can't read Japanese, so I didn't know how to control some of these games, and I tried everything. Here I gotta most likely fish out these balls and see what's inside of them, but I just couldn't get it out, regardless of what I pressed or in what position I held my Wiimote. At least thanks to modern technology I could get my own fortune translated. Time to go to IKEA and buy single-colored furniture, I guess. It's also made by the people behind Taiko no Tatsujin, the games where you have to use a drum to hit the notes. The same developers who made Donkey Konga for Nintendo, that's one you know for sure. Here there's also a game that works like it, where I think you gotta check your Wiimote and nunchuck to make animals out of balloons. I most likely did it completely wrong since they just made my animals explode at the end of it. Also, look at this. If you go into the Wii menu, the game just continues. I have never seen that before. Most games will not let you pause when you can't pause, but here it just continues. What the hell? Would have been more fun if I could have read the controls, but well, that's my own fault, not the game's. I like blaming myself, or maybe it's Bandai Namco's fault for not bringing the game over to the West. Makes kinda sense though. It's not very relatable to the average Western person. We gotta play games like carnival games instead. Another movie tie-in game where I have not seen a movie of, but I could probably spoil this movie without even watching it. A kid who bullies poor little ants get turned into the same size as one and now has to work together with them, and he learns how important empathy is, even for the tiniest creatures that roam on our Earth. The end. He doesn't mind beating up other bugs for the ants though, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Just let nature do its own thing. Like, why does he protect the ants but he doesn't protect the other bugs, Ever thought about that, stupid kid? But yeah, it's the game that makes you think, why would anyone bother playing it? Not the worst game ever, but are there even any ant-body fans out there? Games for big stuff like Toy Story make total sense, but why did they think this needs a game too? Even my capture card did not want me to play it at first, because I reset it after recording like 10 minutes of gameplay in this high quality without me noticing it. Always make sure to look at your second monitor when you're recording something, or else you might get 2 FPS footage like this. I have never watched an episode of this because it came out in 2007 here in Germany, when it actually ended their one in America, and only on Cartoon Network, and I don't think we had that channel on free TV, so I missed out on it. I mostly only knew all of these characters from Cartoon Network from playing the Resort Flash games, where you have to find items for all of these characters. Some I knew, some I didn't. What a blast from the past. Rip in pieces, Flash. You were one of the greatest things ever. What more can I say except that it's Smash Bros. Or a Power Stone type of game where you beat each other up with characters from the show. Every time I see them nowadays, I have to think of the one meme where he slaps the ass of Mandy and goes like Buenos Dias, I hope I pronounced that right. Just another one of those ports that makes you think, why not just play it on a console without motion controls? Luckily for those people, you can play it with a GameCube controller, which I should have done, but I was giving the motion controls a chance here and well, you waggle to attack, that's it. Maybe a good game for fans, or maybe even worse game for fans, because it may have disappointed you a lot back in the day for not being fun when your parents bought it for you. So you sat there and thought, wow, the show is fun, but this is not fun. Or maybe it was fun. A board game kind of game, but sadly not a Mario Party clone. I sometimes wonder why we never got a shameless Mario Party clone. Most clones always try to be a bit different instead of just ripping it off. The only game I can think of that is really like Mario Party, but without any of its charm, is Pummel Party on Steam. Here, you try to become the president of all the Tamagotchis and have to gather enough popularity. That's the only stat that matters. And I only lost because this green slop landed on a field that gave him tons of it because he went onto a TV show and even got paid for it. Guys, isn't that a bad thing? He's as corrupt as it gets, accepting a bribe to increase his popularity. That's not how it should work. I worked hard by cleaning up the park and this is what I get for it. Also, it already shows you that these events will repeat themselves often. Like, how do I have to clean up the park twice in 2 rounds? Couldn't you have given me a different event? There's Tamagotchi game fields where you play for money by doing simple things like seeing what present the money is in, but there's also actual real minigames that you can only play by yourself. And that just sucks. I already play enough by myself, but I wanna, compete. I wanna compete in minigames with other people, not by myself, even if I am by myself. Here I had to find all the crying kids in the kindergarten, and then I had another one where I could serve ice cream to buy the votes. I don't think kids should be able to vote, but, it's a Tamagotchi. So maybe a kid is an adult sometimes. Yeah, they grow up during the phases, but I miss Tamagotchi. I kind of want to buy one, but they look kind of expensive nowadays. But that's the problem of the game. You only get a minigame when you land on a minigame field. You could go through the 7 days without ever playing a minigame. It's no fun just rolling a dice and only seeing little events that are totally random. I want to feel as if I had a chance to actually impact it. That's what makes Mario Party so good. You do get rewarded if you play well, with still some luck involved, which I don't mind at all. I'm a good person to play those kind of games with. I'm a graceful person when winning and losing. Most people would say people that say something like this are the complete opposite of that, but trust me, please, just this once. A new version of an old ancient arcade game that was even before my time. I'm not that old yet, after all. Basically, all you do is going wild and dumb, destroying buildings and trying to do it as fast as you can, while also getting tons of points by collecting bananas or eating humans. At first it felt really damn weird to play by shaking a Wiimote, but I don't know if that was because of the controls or the physics. Look at this, he just drop kicks after drop kick after drop kick. I don't think gravity should allow this to happen. I also picked the giant rat, because why wouldn't you pick the rat if you can pick a rat? Okay, rat! Basically, it's just another PlayStation 2 game, but ported onto the Wii with motion controls that make you waggle and waggle. I kinda had my fun with it, but not sure if it would hold up for a longer time. But isn't that the point of an arcade game? They're not there to play for hours really, just a bit here and there. It has one of the ugliest menus ever though. Look at this, why is it always the ape with the same pose? Sure, time attack mode has the ape have a clock in his hand, but why not use any of the other monsters or change his pose at least? Why is it the same monster 4 times? The last Need for Speed game I played was Underground 2 for the PlayStation 2. I know I missed out on Most Wanted, one day I will play it, no worries. The worst thing about this game is that holding the remote sideways does not really work for heavy cars here. It works in games like Excite Truck or even Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam later, but here I just wanted to immediately change it to the stick on the nunchuck. But you know what? You can control it with the stick, but there isn't a single control scheme where you don't have to do something with the Wiimote. One of them even lets you steer with the nunchuck by tilting it left or right. I have never seen that before. In the end, I picked the one where I have to use the stick and make the car go fast by holding the remote down and use the brakes by holding it up. You would think it's the other way around, but no. And well, in the end, it's Need for Speed, you know? You drive a car and if you like driving cars, then it's fun. There's nothing special about this version except for these weird controls that make me tell you to play any of the other versions of the game instead. Why not include a totally normal way to play the game? Why make it force motion controls? Let me just control with the stick, let me give gas with A and make me use the brakes with B. Why couldn't you give me that? Why? Yeah, this is not a PlayStation 1 game. When I started the game and saw the cars have a cel shading look to them, I kinda had high hopes for this game before I saw the tracks and well, seeing this right after Carbon just makes you think, yep, this looks horrible. You steer by holding the remote sideways, and what more can I say? It's a racing game. I have no idea about those really. Plays fine for what it is, but it for sure is no Gran Turismo, and if you want a real racing game, just get Carbon. Even if you don't like tuning cars and all that, I don't think this game would be worth it. A cute point and click shooter, that's what I would call it. Like you could call it a railgun shooter, but it's a little bit different. The electricity goes out because the weather is bad and now the Elebits, magical creatures that power our systems are not feeling like working anymore. So you have to catch them to power these systems back on. You point at them and just press A, even if you don't want to wake them up, but hey, they have to go back to work. It's just like in your own life, getting woken up by your parents, your neighbors, your new Nintendo alarm or alarm clock. When you caught enough, they allow you to power on the TV so you can squeeze even more Elebits out of those things and get the required amount of watts to beat the stage. It also allows you to continue if you're a high score hunter, which I'm not really, but it's fun to keep playing a stage so you can eventually turn on anything in it. The art design and characters are also done by the same guy from Made in Abyss, just way more wholesome. There's nothing bad happening in this game at all. Or is there? Did you know there's an Elebits game on the DS2? I didn't know about that till recently and now I want to make a video about that series, even if there's only 2 games, but it kinda deserves it, like one of those forgotten Wii DS gems, you know, it probably has been done before. Or also called Pangya here in Europe. You know, it was like one of those big MMO series of golf where you can play it online for free, but obviously you could pay for new skins and all that stuff. But I once bought this game because I saw it for like $5 and I do enjoy me some cute anime girls, and that's the biggest reason why I got it. Then I never actually played it because it's golf. Sadly, you start with no money at all and have to play the actual game to earn cash to buy cute outfits with. But are anime girls really worth that time investment, even if you don't like golf? Yes, they are. Hard to say more really. If you like golf and anime girls, it's basically a no-brainer. It's Pinball on the Wii. I expected the worst by having to wiggle left or right to see the flippers, but shaking the remote just wobbles the pinball machine and then the game tells you tilt, and you can't do anything anymore. Get punished, Dumbo. Don't wobble the machine. Also, look at this machine. I pushed the ball in and it went outside without me being able to do anything. Is that good design? I'm not a pinball machine expert, but I would like to think even the pinball experts would agree with me that this table is dumb. Imagine putting in your money and you lose it like this. I could have just thrown it into a fountain and wished for something that will never happen and I would have gotten the same result out of it. And training mode is useless as hell. You got a mode where you play all the machines in a row and have to get a specific score, but you maybe want to learn the tables before it gets really hard. But you need credits to play them, even in training. Why? Normally you're supposed to be able to freely train, but here you can't if you don't play its normal story mode first. Why do I have to gain credits in training mode? Let me train for free. It's probably a decent game for pinball fans since they got really old machines. You can look at their ads and other bonus stuff. I expected a Playboy themed table when I picked it, but instead I got this poker card game pachinko style machine. If only I would have learned about the history of pinball machines before picking it, so I could have played the Going Nuts machine because I wasted my credit on this one instead. I'm going nuts. I have said this way too often in this video, but again, I haven't seen the source material, and this is maybe the one where most people would want to punch me onto my head for. For many it's like the best cartoon ever, some even call it an anime, but for me it's a bald kid like Caillou who can do stuff with like water. One day I will watch it, I swear. I'm not making fun of you for enjoying it. I like cartoons, you know, so I'm not making fun of it. I thought this was the game that is mostly known for being the easiest game to get 1000 gamer score on your Xbox 360 with back in the day, but that was a different Avatar game. I also underestimated the game for being a kids game and never used my block button because I tried using motion controls that barely worked and I died, so I would have had to sit through the opening cutscene again since you can't skip it, and I didn't save. I know, that was my fault, but I really didn't expect to die in the first 10 minutes of the game. It really was the fault of the motion controls, please believe me. They didn't do the move I wanted to do. You don't even have motion controls right at the start. You can only smash things with the A button before you level up once and then unlock your first regular motion attack that barely worked. Then I died. The end. Imagine a Sonic game that is just city escape. That's what downhill jam is, kinda. You go downhill and jam to the tunes of the game that I can't show because of copyright stuff, I guess. Make your own skater or pick any of the skaters that actually have a personality like Tiffany, who is the airheaded bimbo stereotype, also jinx for every goth lover out there.
Because I went to high school with him. His real name is Gaylord, and he cried in Driver's Ed when they showed that Red Asphalt movie.
I wish she would call me that. These little interviews before each race or challenge are pretty fun since you got all kinds of personalities here. You even have Tony Hawk himself saying he would make a good goth guy.
You think it's too late for me to do something like that?
You mean go goth?
Yeah, I think I could rock that look.
Now I have heard it all. There's no way to really bail and fall here when you do tricks except if you crash into a wall, so you just spam them to fill your special to give yourself a little boost, but you can fall if you get hit by a car. Don't get hit by one in real life or in the game either. Look, they even got a Twin Peaks reference in here. Peak Cinema. Watch it if you haven't yet, you won't regret it. And if you do, then you can give me orders for a full day. Was really fun, but it felt a bit too overwhelming, having to steer it and spamming buttons like crazy at the same time, especially since the tracks also have multiple paths, so you look around, but it goes so fast that you can barely know what direction you want to go into. It's a bit like the Sonic syndrome. You want to go fast, but to go fast you gotta learn the levels first or else you will keep bonking into walls. And I can't do that so quickly, but it's worth a second look one day so I can learn them to play the game better. Yep, another movie tie-in game. I'm sorry for having to repeat those words so much, and again, haven't seen the movie. Looks cute though. Who could hate on a bear who dreams about his oversized giant teddy bear? You're the bear who lives together with a woman who is a park ranger or something and protects you from the scary life outside of town, before you save a deer who is a totally bad influence on you and makes you commit crimes like stealing and eating chocolate bars, so you get thrown out into the forest. I mean, it's not prison, so that's good, but forest can be a prison. The city can be a prison. Any place can be a prison. So now you have to throw the dumb deer against trees to defeat Eichhörnchen or find the kids of skunks, those little skanks. In a way, this was like the Barnyard experience for me. It doesn't look too bad for the time I have played it, and I loved having to nod my remote up and down to talk to the woman. There's not enough games that made you move your head like that. Only other one I can think of right now is Silent Hill Shattered Memories when you talk to your therapist. I need one of those in real life, in games. Probably a fun little jumpin' one for kids who love the movie. A game where you have to match foods and make them disappear together, while the publisher's website stands in the bottom right corner. Yep, this site is totally brand new. You would think they bothered to add motion controls to this PlayStation 2 shovelware game, but no, you use the D-pad to rotate the stage instead of tilting the Wiimote or rolling it around. Zero effort put into this. Those things would have made the game worse probably, so maybe it was good they didn't add motion controls to this. This game may has one of the most boring tutorials ever, always restarting the stage and having to click through the menu instead of just having to do it all at once. Why does it have to reset after each thing you do? But yeah, it's an airplane game and mostly aimed at kids. If I want to play one of those, I would rather just play Ace Combat, so I got action for a totally manly man like myself. I'm so manly that I'm actually quite feminine. That's how manly I am. Also, why use birds to fly planes with when they can fly normally? Is that the joke here? I mean, you know what I will say now, right? Another movie tie-in game I haven't watched the movie of. I have played the PlayStation 3 cast game once to get an easy Platinum trophy though, and I have to say that game felt better. Probably because I could play it normally. Here you obviously steam Lightning McQueen by holding the remote like a Wii like 90% of the ways in games we have seen today, and he just feels so heavy. You have to really tilt it hard or do a wheelie or slide to get around the corners well. For a kid that loves cars and also pretends to be a car, it's most likely amazing. Life is a highway and all that, making car noises and tilting the remote 360 degrees while letting go of it and destroying the TV. I personally never enjoyed holding the remote like this except in Excite Truck and Bots, and even in Mario Kart I tried it out once with the wheel for one play session and never used it again. Even if it could be a total flex to stun on people with, since they can see the icon of it if you played it online. You can go like, wow, I use motion controls, like that's what the people on the Switch do. I'm one of those rare people that does not own Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. I loved Dragon Ball back then, but something I didn't love were the Budokai Tenkaichi games of it. No, don't get your pitchforks out. It wasn't the game's fault. I never owned these games, but a friend did. You know what he did? He made me and other friends play with him without giving us a chance to even learn the controls. So he would always stump us with us having no shot at winning, because these games do feel kinda complex. You have to gather your key energy, learn how to fly and the combos and all that. I will never forgive you for this, Kevin. It's another one of those cases where I would rather use a normal controller, which the game allows you to do so. I had my GameCube controller plugged in, and when you have it plugged in, it will always pick that as player 1. So I had to get up and unplug it to get to use my Wiimote and nunchuck. Thanks for making me do that. This makes me sound really lazy, but actually I am, but not too lazy to get up my chair. You know, but my chair is kinda squeaky, so I would demonstrate it right now, but no. It's the same game as the PlayStation 2 version, but has some exclusive fighters, and I'm gonna be honest here, my old former came back here. I wanted normal tournament matches because I put the CPU on too easy, since I had no idea what to do, but then when I tried the story mode I got my butt kicked, which is what is supposed to happen, since Piccolo just jumps to Raditz in the normal story too. But then I also lost with Son Goku against Raditz instead of surviving because I got overwhelmed because I didn't know how to block or do this and do that, so I had to quit. It's a great game obviously for fans who put the time into it. One day I may get over my trauma of it and can play these games normally, but playing them all alone? When you're not really into fighting or Dragon Ball nowadays, you know, yeah. It's called Double Agent because it's a completely different game on the old consoles and on the new consoles. And yes, the Wii was a new console, but it obviously got the old console version while also looking worse than the original Xbox version. Like all of the other Splinter Cell games that always had extra fancy graphics or even bigger levels on that version. The first 3 Splinter Cell games are basically some of the best stealth games ever, but for many this was the start of the downfall of the series, where it went a bit more into the action aspect of it. One thing I didn't like at all here is how the tutorial works. Why do I have to watch a full video? Can't you just tell me what buttons I have to press? The games can be pretty complex with how many gadgets you get, but still, having to waste my time like this while a guy just slowly tells me what each thing is good for, it's just not fun, even if it may be needed for some players. Aside from that, it's classic Splinter Cell, but I think I would prefer playing it on any other console with a normal controller. Maybe it feels better after getting used to it, but it's one of those things where if you played a game of this franchise before, it feels weird not to use the same controller for the games. I only played Tony Hawk games with a PlayStation controller in my whole life. If you gave me a GameCube controller and now told me to learn the controls with that controller, it would be the same experience. My brain would just not feel happy having to relearn it like that. Not the game's fault because it doesn't really have any waggle except for having to jump with the nunchuck, which doesn't feel bad at all. So it's a decent way to experience the game, but you know, just play the Xbox version. Banana Blitz is an okay game, there, I said it, but is okay enough for a series like this. Monkey Ball 1 and 2 are great games, and let's forget about the adventure game. That never really existed and is just a weird dream that some people had. The physics are different to fit motion controls, and the levels also feel more baby-like, to not make it totally frustrating. It does ramp up a bit more later, but overall it just couldn't hit the same heights. Combined with bland bosses and a more cutesy style, which I don't mind personally, but I always kinda read that people prefer the somewhat more gritty look of the earlier games. Also, the worst thing is, they show you the credits after the first word. Why? Who thought this is a good idea? Show me the credits at the end, or if you run out of lives or something, and let me skip them if I want to. Why after the first world? And why are they so long? They let you play a little minigame during them just like the other Monkey Ball games, but still, 4 minutes of credits. Do you know how long it took me to beat the first world? 6 minutes. I almost saw more credits than actual gameplay. I kept the best for last. Not really. I have no idea about Marvel. I don't even know who is a Marvel character and who is a DC character and all that. Except that the characters in here are from Marvel, obviously, most likely. It's one of those beat 'em up games where you have a whole party and can change between them with all of their special moves. Captain America throws his shield, Spider-Man shoots his web, you get the idea. I played through the tutorial mission and already got bored of it pretty much. You go through corridors and beat up baddies, and more baddies, and even more baddies, but that's probably from me not being into superheroes. If you love this whole universe, you will probably soy face and go, wow, I can be Spider-Man or Thor, that's crazy, I love this game. It's a total fan service kind of game, but if you're not a fan, then the service is, well, not really there. Like staying at a hotel and there's bed bugs inside of your room and the hotel service do nothing against it, so you bring them home with you. Actually, that makes the game sound like trash. It's pretty solid if you like these type of games. And bed bugs suck. I luckily never had them, and I hope you will never have them either. And that's a wrap. I got all of these titles from the Ultimate Pop Culture Wiki and the Nintendo Wiki, and looking through all the forum posts to really make sure I got them all. At most, I maybe missed one game, at most. For example, both of the wikis had a game called Machi Koro Domino on the list, but that game didn't come out till later when it was renamed to Minon Everyday Hero, so they were straight up wrong with it. Or Splinter Cell Double Agent didn't show up on those wikis, but it was the release title for the Wii in Europe since it really came out on the same day of it if you check it on Wikipedia. And despite how much I googled, I couldn't find a true list of all the launch games without anything missing or having outdated info on it, like Dragon Quest Swords being on there, which was supposed to be a launch title but wasn't. If I still missed a game or two, so that the title of my video is wrong, then I am sorry for it, and you may make fun of me till the rest of my pathetic life. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone. I don't want to see my Wii for a couple of weeks now, but I have to since there's too many fun games to cover on this little friend-shaped console. It's also my favorite console of all time. I hope I didn't out myself as a bad taste-having person to you because of it. The days of the Wii being only known for its waggle and shovelware are long gone nowadays. I hope. Bye bye.